Hello friends, I'm Drew Dumps, the President and CEO of the Ecology School. This day, October 17, 2020, marks a special milestone in the 22-year history of the Ecology School. Today we're celebrating the incredible momentum of the Riverbend Farm campus construction project and really celebrating all the visionary partners who helped make this a reality. In addition to all the great speakers we're about to have in this event, we're also going to be doing a ceremonial unveiling of a cornerstone that symbolizes all the incredible collaboration and work that has gone into creating some of the most sustainable buildings in Maine and even the country, and what will be a visionary residential environmental learning center for sustainability and a carbon neutral future. We're so grateful that we're able to stream this event so we can safely share with all our family, friends, and supporters the excitement of this event and the momentum of the Riverbend Farm project. Thank you.
Good morning. And even in the rain, it is a spectacular fall morning here at Riverbend Farm. I'm Mary Martin, Chair of the Ecology School Board, and it is an honor to welcome you today on behalf of the board. We'd like to thank you for being here and also express our appreciation for the part that you have played in making this Cornerstone celebration possible. Today's Cornerstone event is an exciting milestone. A cornerstone symbolizes the seeds from which buildings germinate and rise. Today, we will reveal a cornerstone that will be prominently placed at the corner of this dining commons. This symbolic action provides the Ecology School with the opportunity to celebrate the momentum of our capital campaign. But more importantly, it gives us the opportunity to thank you for being the underpinning and the heart of the Riverbend Farm project. As we have worked to make the Riverbend Farm a reality, you have worked beside us and you have given us the support and the resources necessary. Today, we are close to realizing our collective vision as we continue to work together to ensure a healthy, resilient, hopeful, and sustainable future. Shortly, I'm going to turn this microphone over to Drew Dumps, and Drew is the president and the CEO of the Ecology School, and he was recently recognized by Maine Biz as one of 8 dynamic individuals changing Maine's economy. He has been involved in every aspect of the Riverbend Farm project, which has required an extraordinary amount of teamwork, effort, leadership, and expertise. As a board, it is a privilege to work with Drew, and it is a great pleasure that I present him to you, Drew.
We'll make sure I'm 6 feet back. This feels almost like a performance art piece, a large open space, people spread out, but I really appreciate you coming, wearing your mask, staying safe, but being in this happy occasion. I do want to thank Mary. Mary has been an incredible board president during this process and is not only a colleague, but a good friend and mentor to me. And I also do want to thank my family. We'll be streaming this event later on, and both my wife and daughters at home and my mom and dad and brother and folks out across the country have all been huge supporters of this. So thank you all, friends, collaborators, partners, supporters to our new home here at Riverbend Farm. The Ecology School's new residential environmental learning center will be inspiring thousands of children and adults for years to come. I had a little bit of trouble getting dressed this morning. The first thing was I wasn't sure. I was planning on wearing my dress shoes, but mud season came early, so guess what I decided to do? Bean boots. And as you know, for those who've been to our groundbreaking event, it rained for that too. But we have been in a drought year. Rain is good, especially since we're on a farm and going to be growing 100% of our own produce that we're serving in this dining hall right here on this farm and in partnership with all the local farms. The other thing, I have quite a few series of ties, and I wanted something symbolic. I was going to buy an earth tie, but I waited too late. So I was looking, and this tie is my building block tie, and I think our project, totally, not only are we building, we have a cornerstone, but it seems like, especially for the last 5 years, it's been building block, by building block, by building block, to get us to where we are here. And the people that were invited to come in person, every single one of you have been one of those important blocks that have been building these structures that will make Maine proud. And this event is not about, we're not done, obviously. You can look around. We still have about a month and a half of construction. So it's not a completion celebration. And definitely we're still fundraising. Of the $14.1 million, we're lucky to be partnered with both USDA Rural Development and CEI for a large part of that, but we're in the midst of a $3.6 million capital campaign and still have $1 million to go. So we're not quite there yet, but we're celebrating the home stretch, and this is really a celebration. This Cornerstone event is a celebration of momentum, of Maine momentum. This is such a specifically Maine project that we have. And it's a project that really is leading the way in many ways for Maine. It's leading the way for carbon neutral communities. Governor Mills last fall announced a carbon neutral 2045 initiative that in 25 years will be carbon neutral. That's a very ambitious goal. The Ecology School at Riverbend Farm, in December when we open, will be modeling a carbon-free community. And I think our design team, Kaplan Thompson Architects, Bryburn, Simons Architects, Richardson Associates were important parts of that designing, because this building is living building. It's a living building challenge. It's like LEED certification times 100. It's never been done in Maine, and our design team were a huge part of that. And we're also leading the way in partnership, how you build buildings. We have fantastic partners like Zachow Construction and Hancock Lumber that we can partner with right here in Maine. We're leading the way in carbon neutral in an important way in that there's 718 solar power panels. If you have time afterwards, you can check out the solar field right behind here with 518 panels, and there'll be 200 panels on top, all placed by the great Maine company Revision Energy. We're also leading the way in education in many ways. The pandemic has given us many challenges, but one thing it's provided is a focus on getting outside, that it's safe to be outside, that it's an effective way to teach outside. So I want to thank you all for being leaders yourself in helping the Ecology School and the Riverbend Farm Project lead the way. And the next series of speakers are really featuring some of those important leaders, some of those important building blocks that brought the project where we are today. The first speaker I'd like to introduce is Timothy Hobbs. He's the Maine State Director for USDA Rural Development, and we have been working with them for almost 5 years now, and their financing of $8.66 million for a rural community facilities loan has been the game changer that made this possible. So, Timothy, welcome to the podium.
Thank you, Drew. I appreciate that. Well, good thing about the weather, there's no bugs today. Usually when you do, we've done several of these types of things, and you hope for good weather, warm weather and sunshine, and that's fantastic. And then you sit here and then we complain about the bugs. And so today we're not going to complain about bugs. So this is a fantastic place you have here, by the way. I've never driven down. I got off at the airport exit and then kind of drove. I call them back roads, but maybe they're not. But then we come down this final road to this facility, and it kind of preps you for what you're going to drive into. You kind of relax, and you can kind of feel, you're now getting more rural, and which is appropriate because I work for rural development, so that's kind of fun. So I want to thank Drew for hosting today's celebration. It's wonderful to see Senator Collins here, and appreciate her support in everything that we do. I understand maybe Senator King's going to join us virtually, or there was some talk about that, to commemorate this project. Rhiannon Hampstead from Congresswoman Pingree office is here as well, I believe. So I just wanted to say thank you for including USDA rural development in the project that you have going on here today. It's a lot of fun as a state director to go around and look at what other people do. I have staff, Drew has mentioned working with our staff for over 5 years. 5 years ago, I was not the state director for rural development. I get to come in now at this juncture and watch what happens when people work together in partnership on projects that are important to them, important to the community, but they're projects that usually have a heart to them. It's not just a money-making business, but there's a heart, there's a mission that drives that. And when you talk about the Ecology School and the drive-in and the things that you're going to be doing and teaching here, it's that mission that really drives what you folks do. And so that's fun to watch, it's fun to be part of. But my staff is really what they should be here talking, because gentleman Mike Jenkins, I know has worked with you extensively. Bill Simmerling, he's the architect in our Bangor office that has worked with your folks, and we have some more as well. So my hat's off to them and to you for working together to pull this off. USDA's investment in the Ecology School is certainly one of the most impactful and important investments our agency has made in terms of investing in Maine's future generation. So on behalf of President Trump and Secretary Perdue, congratulate you on your vision, your determination, and what you are building here, not only when you started back in '98 and are celebrating today, but into the future for long term. And so thank you for including USDA as your partner. We appreciate the opportunity. USDA Rural Development was created to help improve the quality of life in rural America. And we do that. We take that mission seriously. We work in 3 mission areas: housing, we do single family housing direct lending, we do multifamily housing, apartment style buildings, we do community facilities such as this one. We also do first responders, we can do town offices, police departments, and then we have a business component that we use and serve as well. I think over the last 5 years, just in the CF program, just in the program, we have 47 of them, but just in the program that you folks were able to utilize, I think it was $67.2 million in the last 5 years, just in that CF program has been invested here in Maine. If you look at our whole portfolio for rural development, just to give you kind of a flavor of what we do, it was a $375 million investment this past fiscal year in Maine through those three areas. And as I always say, I get the privilege of managing a resource that doesn't belong to me, and that's the dollars, these taxpayer dollars. It's your money. It's the taxpayers pay into the federal government. Somebody sets it aside, and then I get the privilege, and my staff get the privilege of trying to spend that in a way that meets our mission, but does it in a wise manner. And so I'm really pleased to be here. I'm pleased to be part of what's going on. I can hardly wait to come back in the spring and as things start to blossom and grow, and to see the continued success that you're having here. So thank you. Appreciate it.
The Ecology School in Riverbend Farm, we're sitting on a 105-acre historic farm, and 96 of those acres are under Eastman's Maine Farmland Trust, another great partner of ours. But that complicated things a little bit as we were trying to get the financing, and as we were trying to purchase the farmhouse and the property, we had to kind of put the USDA work on hold, and we had another amazing financing partner step forward. Coastal Enterprise Incorporated, CEI, has been with us also almost for 5 years, and I'm Proud to introduce the CEO of Coastal Enterprises Incorporated, CEI, Betsy Beeman.
I can't tell you how relieved I am not to have to look for the mute button right now. As Drew said, I'm Betsy Beeman with Coastal Enterprises. And just first, I want to just really congratulate you, Drew, and the Ecology School team and the board of directors. You are dynamic, visionary leaders, really pioneering a more resilient and environmentally sustainable future. And really thank you for all the hard work that you've put in. CEI is a nonprofit, mission-driven investor. And when we look at the investments that we're going to potentially make, we not only look at our financial risk and returns, but we look at the social and environmental impact of what that investment will yield. And when I look back in our investment memos and I looked at what it was that we saw in the potential of this work, it was really an extraordinary list. It was an organization that was going to be generating renewable energy. It was going to be demonstrating a best-in-class renewable future with its living building techniques, with the solar and the other, the regenerative agriculture and other practices that you'll be carrying out as an organization as this work goes forward. But also, you were purchasing Maine materials and working with vendors like Revision Energy and Zacco and the others that you mentioned to really sustain good jobs across Maine, committing to invest in your workforce through your employment and training agreement with CEI, of course, providing best-in-class environmental education to young people from Maine and some of the surrounding states, and particularly importantly, ensuring that low-income students have access to best-in-class environmental education, which is critically important. So with all of those social environmental impacts, as well as a solid risk and return profile, this really was a slam dunk investment for CEI. A final aspect, which wasn't in the investment memo, but which I really want to recognize, is your collaborative style of leadership. The Ecology School came together about 10 years ago with organizations that could be conceived of as competitors and said, if we work together, we will be more effective and better able to reach all Maine students with this extraordinary programming that we do. And they came together and did that. And it was, I think, a similar collaborative spirit that brought together the funding partners for this work. Camden National Bank, one of our leading community banks, USDA, a federal agency that not only recognized the value and importance of long-term patient capital and was willing to partner with a nonprofit community development financial institution to make sure that that investment got to important projects in Maine. That kind of collaborative spirit is, the lack of that spirit can keep projects like this from happening. And the presence of that collaborative spirit helps make these projects happen. And particularly given the fact that Maine is going to need to stabilize and rebuild a stronger economy coming out of the pandemic, I think we'll need to see continued kinds of collaborative partnerships across the federal government, state government, nonprofit investors, and traditional investors to ensure that projects like this keep happening in Maine and elsewhere. So thank you for inviting me here today. Thank you for all of your support for this work. And I'm just delighted to be able to be here with you this morning.
This is amazing. We've only had 2 speakers so far, and we're crafting this narrative of teamwork and collaboration. And I have to say, when I go to national conferences, or when I was able to go to national conferences in person, and even now virtually, Maine has a reputation in the environmental sector, in agriculture, environmental education, land trust. Maine has a national reputation for teamwork and collaboration. And I think that starts right here. At the Ecology School, we have an amazing staff. We call it team admin. There's 9 of us right now that even though we don't have our seasonal educators on staff because of the pandemic, our core staff of 9 has just done an amazing job. And then that ripples out. Betsy had mentioned the Environmental Living and Learning for Maine network with Chewonki and the 4-H Camp and Conference Centers at Bryant Pond and Tanglewood and Schoodic Institute at Acadia National Park as an example of that collaboration. So we just think the Ecology School at Riverbend Farm will be a center for more of that, including we're talking with Maine Audubon, MAFCA, University of New England. We have multiple partners already excited about being able to collaborate with the good work of conservation and renewable energy and education and community building right here at Riverbend Farm. One crucial part we've already heard from USDA and CEI, and actually the CEI loans are actually relending of USDA RD loans too, so it's a connection there. Leading up to the financing though with CEI and USDA, we were spending quite a bit of money on master planning with our incredible design team, and we really needed some financing, and the one commercial bank that stood right up and joined us right away was Camden National Bank. And then not only that line of credit that we were able to use to keep the project going, then of course being our commercial lender for the commercial financing. So I'd love to introduce right now Betty Olson, the commercial banking officer and senior vice president at Camden National Bank.
Good morning. I have to start by saying that we're managing the construction, so we used to have monthly meetings, we used to show up, we used to see what was going on, and we really haven't been able to do that since COVID happened. So I see pictures, but this is amazing, totally amazing. Camden's very honored to have helped Ecology School with the construction financing, but that would not have been we would not have been able to help them without USDA and also Coastal Enterprises. The key pieces of all of us working together to make this work was crucial. You know, if I can say that there were obstacles along the way, that would be an understatement. We had the appraisal come in too low, we had the government shut down, we had Collins and everybody help us try to get it closed. We did have it happen, but I think Drew's vision and enthusiasm is contagious to all of us, and I think part of it is it made us want to help him do it. We went to the town meeting in Saco, and we all sat up and said, I think you had some neighbors that said, I don't think anybody will finance this. And I said, and I did get up, and I said, you have 5 banks willing to put money into this project. So it is a viable project. It's what a beautiful property. We're so happy to be a part of it, to have met Drew and to meet the team out here. And for Zach Howe and everybody that's been part of this construction and financing, we're very pleased to have been part of it. Thank you.
This is great. The speakers are bringing up things that are in my script to talk about, because the next is like, this is a City of Saco project. It's very exciting. We're lucky that we have Mayor Doyle here, Councilor Minthorn, Councilor Copeland, who are all part of the team on the city council that really helped shepherd from the municipal end of things, getting this project moving forward. And also we have City Administrator Canareth here too, and the city staff, everything from city administrator to the planning department have been a joy to work with on this project, because it's a complex project. We're so happy to have Senator Collins here today. We will, after her comments, we do have some short videos from Senator King and Representative Pingree too, but we wanted the keynote person to step up and really talk about the project. Senator Collins is a senior member of the Appropriations Committee and has been really a leader for protecting the environment and advancing clean energy technologies. I know Alex, your staff had given me some talking points. I want to go really personal, because I first met Senator Collins almost 7 years ago when we were at our rented facility at Fair Beach Park Association. We lined up a meeting. At that point, Kathy Goodwin was head of your Biddeford office, and we're so lucky now Kathy's now on our board. So, but Kathy had prepped me. She said, you need to do a detailed packet. It needs to be concise, and the center will read everything. I'm serious. So you got here, and you spent over an hour at Ferry Beach. We were lucky we had 8th graders from Buxton, Bonnie Eagle School, just right up the road from here, who had been doing their 3-day program. And you had such specific questions based on the information. I'm like, she really did read it. That was amazing. But what really struck me is how you engaged. I remember at one point, you were kind of teasing our chef, Rich O'Brien, who's now our operations manager, saying, I hear your pizza is very famous. And then he kind of blushed. And then at another point, because we were talking, we took you out to our garden. And we've been doing food education for years, but it's a little hard to grow a lot of food in a 1/4-acre garden. But we did a good job of it. So we had Senator Collins out in the garden, and she started sharing about picking potatoes as a kid. I could tell the kids were totally, because it wasn't some big, broad, policy talk. She was on their level talking about being their age and picking potatoes up in Aroostook County. And then the one for me, as someone who's an ecology educator, the kids had just gone to the tide pool, and one of them found a lobster. And Senator Collins, you started talking about a lobster study that had just come out about lobster mortality in the Gulf of Maine. I was just like, wow. So anyway, as someone who's an educator too, I just feel Senator Collins, as a colleague and an educator herself, just seeing the way she interacted with kids and relays information. So I couldn't be happier to have Senator Collins give the keynote speech for our Cornerstone event. Senator Collins.
Thank you. Get which kind I have on today here. Thank you so much, Drew, and thank you for bringing back those wonderful memories. It's such a pleasure to join all of you today. The theme has been collaboration and teamwork, and that's certainly what we've seen, and that's where you are today. That's why you're here. And I really thank all the many supporters who have made this celebration possible. In addition to Drew's great leadership, I also want to mention Kathy Goodwin, whom he mentioned. Kathy headed my Biddeford office for a number of years, and she's on the board, and she was the one, Drew, who first introduced me to the Ecology School and told me all about it. And I said, boy, I'd really like to go visit. And I also want to commend Tim Hobbs. He is doing an absolutely fabulous job heading up rural development at USDA. And I want to thank you, Tim, for all of your work. Well, as Drew has clearly explained, the Ecology School is a special place. And it's one that for more than 2 decades has enhanced the environmental ethic that defines our state. From a small overnight program for students, the school has really grown to reach people of all ages with engaging learning opportunities and sustainable living. Drew was telling me about the sustainable lumber, the white pine that's being used, how everything is produced nearby, from the trusses to the white pine. And that is exactly what we want to see, not only here at the Ecology School, but throughout our state. I've been working with the University of Maine on composite development that will be able to replace steel in a lot of our very tall buildings. And that's the kind of thing that will not only provide more opportunities and better uses for Maine's forest products industry, but also create good jobs. And I think the Riverbend Farm Project takes your mission in sustainable living to a whole new level. As I said, I am delighted to be back at the Ecology School. You were at Ferry Beach the last time that I visited, and your new green campus on the banks of the Saco River is not only beautiful, but also remarkable since it will have two of the most sustainable buildings in the entire Northeast. That's quite an accomplishment. I'm proud to support you in this sustainable mission. This innovative project has resulted in the collaboration that we've seen from Camden National Bank and CEI, but also rather helpful has been an $8.6 million USDA rural development loan for the dining commons and the dormitory. The 105-acre organic farm will help to provide lessons in sustainable agriculture. It'll allow hands-on learning with produce, livestock, and orchards. That's quite a change from the half-acre, a farm that you originally had. After the COVID-19 pandemic hit, my office worked with USDA to achieve some needed flexibility for loan repayment that was provided through the CARES Act. And I'm also delighted that the school was able to obtain vital assistance through a program that I was the lead author of. That's the Paycheck Protection Program. And I know you also received an SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And I've already assured Drew that I'm working very hard to allow for a second PPP loan for our hardest hit small businesses and nonprofits. The importance of your mission brought to my mind a remarkable event that occurred exactly 1 year ago tomorrow. On October 18, 2019, Dr. Jessica Meir, the astronaut from my hometown of Caribou, joined me in a very long-distance phone call. I was seated at my desk in Washington. She was 240 miles above, traveling at 17,000 miles per hour. So I asked her what was the most compelling part of her experience. And I expected her to say it's the amazing technology that made the spacewalk that she just completed possible, or the incredible vastness of space. But no, her answer was looking back at planet Earth from that great distance. And she said that it reveals how precious, unique, and fragile our environment is. And that to me was so telling. And it's really what the Ecology School is all about. Now, it's likely that none of us here will ever get to see our planet from the perspective that Jessica Meir had. But the Ecology School helps us better understand it from the ground level. My interest in protecting the environment began by simply growing up in the state of Maine. I grew up in a rural area. I did pick potatoes, and for centuries, the people of Maine have drawn sustenance from our waters, our forests, and our fields. From the Native Americans to the early settlers to today, we have always nurtured and respected our natural environment. I remember when I was growing up, the first time I saw the Androscoggin River, and it was foamy and dark and polluted. And then we passed, due to the leadership of Ed Muskie, the Clean Water Act, and what a difference it has made to the rivers in our state. And we have rejected here in Maine the false choice that it is the environment or the economy. That's not true in our state. For in this beautiful and bountiful state in which we live, the environment is the economy. The school's focus is built on that foundation. Sustainable living is essential in order to address challenges like climate change. I've also observed firsthand the dramatic effects of climate change. I've been briefed by the preeminent experts in the field, including we have this wonderful climate change school within the University of Maine. In 2006, at the invitation of the University of Maine and the National Science Foundation, I traveled to Antarctica and stayed there for 4 days. I listened to what the scientists told me. There were scientists from the University of Maine and Bowdoin College at the time. And I also, on the way back, visited sites in New Zealand that had once been buried by massive glaciers at the beginning of the 20th century, and now they are ice-free. I also traveled to the Arctic and visited Barrows, Alaska. It's not one of the prettiest places in Alaska, but it is really the canary in the coal mine when it comes to climate change. I saw the melting permafrost that has caused telephone poles that were planted so many decades ago to now be leaning over. And I visited with the native people who told me that the fish runs had changed and that they were seeing insects that they'd never seen before. But we don't have to travel to Antarctica or to the Arctic to see the changes. We've seen them in the Gulf of Maine, which is one of the fastest warming bodies of water in the world. We've seen it in the incidence and the increase of tick-borne illnesses in our state. So it is an increasingly visible threat right here in Maine. You are doing something about it, from installing over 700 solar panels, where you will get, I believe, 100% of your power, or at least that's the hope, and even be feeding power into the electric grid, to utilizing locally sourced lumber that stores carbon dioxide. The Ecology School is taking important steps to help reduce emissions right here in Maine and leading the way for others to follow in your footsteps. In between the time that I grew up in Aroostook County and my conversation with Jessica Meir from my Washington office, there's another experience that helped to shape my personal perspective on environmental issues. When I was in college, I took a class in Christian ethics, and one of the topics was on stewardship of our planet. The primary lesson was this: our dominion over the earth is not a license to spoil it, but an obligation to care for it. That's the philosophy that guides the Ecology School. Drew, you and your team are leading the way in showing how communities can build in harmony with nature and how each and every one of us can be an environmental steward. I thank all of you for joining together in this vital cause and for your ongoing efforts to make sure that people of all ages, including those all-important school children and families, can get outside and learn from nature in such a special place. Congratulations to all of you who have played a role in bringing about this great achievement. I can hardly wait to come back when it's all finished for my third visit to the Ecology School. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Collins, for those wonderful comments. And I love that you bring up the term stewardship. It's in our mission statement. It's a pivotal word in our mission statement is really training the next generation of Earth stewards. And also, the center brought up the payroll protection program. Those kind of federal aids, and we just received a Maine economic recovery grant, are vital right now because what we do so well, we bring people together to learn about the environment. We live and learn together. That's a little bit hard to do in the pandemic right now. So we have limited income. But, you know, another example of collaboration teamwork, right now we're working with Poland Spring, and Heather Printup, the community relations director of Poland Spring, is here. We're working with them on a teacher institute that will be national. We're also working on some online curriculum too, to really keep the good work that the Ecology School is doing moving forward, and really to inspire people to get outside even during the pandemic. One thing I wanted to mention before I announce the two videos coming up, it's interesting, when I was being interviewed by Peter Van Allen for Maine Biz for that recent article, he wanted to know how our board felt about doing something this big and bold. And I think he was waiting for like, well, a lot of them freaked out and a couple of them quit. That didn't happen. We have many of our board members here. We currently have 13 people on our board of directors. And while they were concerned at times, and we remain concerned, running a big, bold project during a pandemic is not easy, what we have on our board is an incredible group of visionary people who can persevere. So when the idea of the Living Building Challenge, something that had never been done in Maine, was brought up, and they said, is it going to cost more? Will it take more time? And we said, yes, but it's what we need to do. The answer was, well, we need to do it. So I want to thank our amazing board, and they're scattered out amongst the crowd here too, for being an incredibly important part of this team and this collaboration. Our next part will be a video remarks from Senator King, our other U.S. Senator.
Congratulations to the Ecology School for your move, for your work, for your perseverance, for all the effort that's gone into this fantastic project. One of the most sustainable buildings in Maine. I think it's one of the most sustainable buildings in the country. Solar, a root cellar, all the work that you've done to make this a real example, a living example of that which you teach. I just want to thank all the people that contributed to this project in all the different ways. I want to congratulate the Ecology School on the move and for making this project work in a very difficult period. So, thanks for what you're doing for the environment, for the state, for the community, and for all the rest of us. Thanks and congratulations.
Thank you, Senator King. And now our last presentation will be a video remarks from U.S. Congresswoman Shelley Pingree, who also came. She was our keynote speaker at our groundbreaking back in July of 2019.
Hello, Drew and Ecology School friends. I'm sorry not to be with you today in person, but I am so happy to congratulate you as you continue modeling innovative, climate-driven solutions at Riverbend Farm. Although it was only last year, it seems like a very long time ago that we gathered to break ground here. I'm thrilled that despite this year's set of unusual challenges, your vision and commitment are undeterred. Hosting almost 200,000 people since 1999 is amazing. You've offered them an opportunity to understand our impact on the environment and improve our stewardship. The Ecology School is a valuable partner in demonstrating that our hope is well placed. We can play a positive role in our environment through mindful agricultural practices, recreational experiences, and critical education. As a member of the House Appropriations Committee, I'm proud to advocate for the funding necessary to bring these ideals to life. From USDA rural development funds to CDFI support, the Ecology School is a great example of the partnerships that utilize public dollars for public benefit. Congratulations on the progress you've made. I'm very much looking forward to touring the living buildings of Maine's Green Campus at Riverbend Farm. This project is an exciting embodiment of our state motto. So thank you, and Durago.
I love that Congresswoman Pingree used Durago. It's because someone had, Mercer, our trusted advancement consultant who had worked for Bowdoin for years, had suggested I put Durago in mine. Then she sent her video and said Durago, and then of course Senator Collins said leading. We've been using leading, I lead, we lead a lot today, and I think that's significant. Now that we have had this series of wonderful comments that really gave a picture of what this project is, onto the final ceremonial unveiling of the Cornerstone. I do want to say there's even this stone itself has some significance. A good friend of mine, Seth Corning, is a stonemason. Actually, Senator Collins, we have a picture of her sitting on our geology wall that Seth built at Riverbend Farm. So we asked Seth to help us out. He was going to get a stone from off-site, and then I suddenly realized we have incredible rock walls. We're a New England farm. So Seth and I last Friday went out to one of the rock walls out towards Simpson Road and found an amazing field stone, a field stone that was probably pulled out of the ground to clear area for planting 200 years ago. So the Cornerstone you're about to see unveiled is actually a Riverbend Farm field stone that was placed 200 years ago, and it really symbolizes, I think, as we place it at the corner of the dining commons, it will be symbolizing the next 200 years here at Riverbend Farm and the success we'll have working with amazing folks like you. So, Senator, are you ready for the unveiling? All right. You ready? All right. We're such educators. This illustrates the ABCs of ecology. It's an abiotic rock covered in lichen and moss, which is biotic. It happened as part of a rock cycle, and the changes that was pulled out of the rock and brought here. So the ABCs of ecology right here on this rock. So, thank you, Senator.